Oh, hey everybody. Good morning. It's your boy Brainsy. As you can see, uh, you don't really see it, but it's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of me not being able to do some programming grinds, and yeah, it's been a while since I've done my workout streams. I've been a I've been in a relapse, hard relapse, which is unfortunate, but like it happens. It happens. I'm trying to take it back. I'm gonna do some arms. It's like 6:13 a.m. So yeah. Oh, I slept at like 12 a.m. So I just had like 6 hours of sleep, which is not recommended. I still feel very sleepy, but like I really had to do this, man. It's 2025, and like I don't want my 2025 to be like relapse day. I thought it's gonna be my year, like a year of big change and stuff. But like, I didn't expect a big change to be a big relapse. No, I don't want that to happen. Anyways, how you guys doing? I hope you guys have been keeping up with your grind. Um, a little bit of life story. Uh, the school is a bit of in trouble because like apparently they're not following regulations with immigration, so they have trouble with it, and there might be a chance where they're going to be disbanded, but our schooling is not in trouble. It's just gonna be us transferring to other schools with providing the same course and all that. That's the advantage here in Australia. The courses that they're provided are standardized, so you could just pick your course back up from other schools and you'll have this basically the same units, same subjects, lessons. But still, man, like, wow, I've never heard of a school getting shut down before, which is crazy. We still don't have a trainer. It's been like week 3 for us that we don't have any trainers, and it's like the end part of our course. I'm about to finish my diploma of IT, but I can't. I don't know if I can't, but like it's my last class that I have, and I already finished it, but I only need to like submit it, but I can't. Anyways, uh, what else? Yeah. My job is cooked. I feel like they're trying to gently, slowly want to phase me out. Like there is a new um admin assistant in PHM, and like if I leave, they might be okay now. It's sort of like that. The small changes could make you feel like you're super insignificant, like you don't matter anymore. I guess that's fair enough because I did cost them uh some. I did cost the reason why they had second doubts on me. Like I made a lot of mistakes, so it's like it's not like um I hold them down to it. You know, it's just sad that it has come to that. Anyways, it's not that sad because I am about to be at advanced diploma and I really do need like to work on something that is actually related to my course, so I do have like work experience that I can put up in my resume. Like, you know I can just put admin assistant in my CV and It's not gonna look well. So I am trying to look for a new job that's related to like software development or something. There are some intern jobs out there. Like I wish I grabbed it before them saying stuff to me like you should find a job or something like another job. So I wish I should have grabbed it before that happened. Just too spineless. Too spineless. But yeah, right now I've completed like another project in my programming. I'll do some programming grant later. There's this one project that I'm literally about to finish, like a couple minutes in, and I'm done. I'm just gonna finish that, and then I'm gonna start my Pierre Carter project that's been brewing for a while. Just need to finish it, you know? Just lock on, finish it, boom, done. Easy. And then after that, I'm gonna try to do this DeepSeek thing. So DeepSeek is like an AI sort of new model. Unlike OpenAI's ChatGPT, it's actually open source, and it's you could like download it and use it infinitely for free. Yeah, the model. It's distilled, so it has a better performance with ChatGPT apparently in their benchmarks in their biggest model, but but it's like it's too big. Um, yeah. Oh, it's also lighter than ChatGPT. Like there's a very small model, but it it doesn't really give accurate answers, but whatever, right? Anyways, I'm just gonna fill up my shit with energy drink. It's already 6:20 a.m. exactly, and I'm gonna start working out. It's been a while. I've been thinking of changing into like a heavier weight, like add another 2.6 kilograms into my weight, but I can't do it because like can't do it because I've been doing this relapse thing, and I wanted to phase out naturally, by consistently working and then eventually increasing my weight. At this rate, I can't do it because like I keep slipping. I didn't even jog yesterday. I was supposed to do cardio and stuff, but like I woke up so late. I blame the fact that I keep sleeping at like 12 a.m. It's a miracle that I wake up anyways today. 'Cause, like it just showed up in my dream. Cause lately I sleep and then there's an alarm. Instead of me waking up, it just goes into my dream like this. There's a stupid noise or something. But this time I was sleeping. The alarm blared off, and to me, it didn't really phase me out. But while I was rolling around in my bed, I was thinking about a workout. Oh shit, I really have to wake up right now. So I think I need to put like a mental note to myself that I can remind myself to do something when it's really urgent and I feel like it's urgent. My body like automatically sets that up for me in a way that I will wake up. I did put it in my mental thought last night, like I really have to do workout crime because it's been a while since I've done it, and I think I'm gonna slip if I'm not gonna do it today, tomorrow, which is today. And then I did. I did wake up like after 5 minutes, which is impressive. So, anyways, yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna fill up this, and I'm gonna start. Yeah. Wish me luck, okay? I'm slipping. Hopefully, you guys aren't. Anyways, so yeah. Alright. By the way, if you guys haven't noticed, I've changed into a different energy drink now. So it's still Wakey Wakey, the ones that I've been drinking before, the green one. This time it's a rainbow one. Apparently, this one is the previous one, the green one, is focused more on the caffeine part, like they'll really fucking wake you up and stuff. But this one, it's more focused on multivitamins, like an all-rounder kind of thing. You know, makes you healthy. Shit. It's like Baroka, I think. I don't know if you guys know about Baroka, but in Baroka, it's like, you know, it's a multivitamin thing that makes you like good throughout the day. This is basically that, but with the added effects of 100 milligrams of caffeine. So I get the benefits of Baroka and the benefits of waking up, perk up. So I think I'm gonna like it. But I feel like I don't get the same energy as I did with the the green one. Because I really do feel like I'm jumped up with the green one. I really feel you know the energy coming right back into to me. Yeah, this is more like okay, sort of like I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, I think this is gonna be a little bit more healthy, so I don't know. Maybe I'll stick around. Anyways, I'm putting my watch in. Oh, I didn't say it in my vlog. I didn't put it in my diary as well, so I might as well just say it here. My watch has been really great lately. Like it can last for a day and more. Even when I'm wearing it, which is really great. I'm really proud of it, honestly. Blah 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 blah. Okay, all set. There's also some times where I can feel my strength be reflected in my day-to-day life. Just lifting chairs up. Oh, whoa! I've been able to do that before now. Easier for me. I do good forms in lifting, like in a hunchback or something, which is nice. All these good stuffs, anyways. Still mid, but it's a work in progress. Whatever. Let me just play some music. Hmm.
Times more like
Hmm. Okay, okay, there you go. Um,
Likely to believe my gesture over my words. And that's because it is very hard to lie with our gestures. For example, you want to do a little experiment with me?
Sure.
Okay, I want you to say 5, but hold up the number 3.
5.
Hard, right?
Yeah, I had to think about them separately.
This is why liars use less gestures. But known tools start with
They're crazy, just such a
that
small...
one little thing.
This has always blown my mind a little bit. 53% of you that listen to this show regularly haven't yet subscribed to the show. So could I ask you for a favor before we start? If you like the show and you like what we do here and you want to support us, the free, simple way that you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. And my commitment to you is if you do that, I'll do everything in my power, me and my team, to make sure that this show is better for you every single week. We'll listen to your feedback, we'll find the guests that you want me to speak to, and we'll continue to do what we do. Thank you so much. Vanessa Van Edwards.
hello.
For someone that's just clicked on this conversation now, and they're wondering why they should stay and listen to what we're going to talk about, what would you say to them?
Very highly successful people speak a hidden language, and that is the language of cues. If you don't know how to read the cues people are sending to you, if you don't know how to control the cues you're sending to others, you are missing a crucial element of success.
How do you quantify that in a way that I know that it's true? Are there studies or stats that reinforce what you've just said?
82% of our impressions of people are based on warmth and competence. That means that if we can control our warmth cues and our competence cues, we know we are taking care of 82% of our impression. And that is critical to being more memorable, to being more confident, to having clearer communication.
And taking that a bit further, what areas of my life will that impact? So if I'm warm and I'm competent, which you're telling me are things that I can control, what are the downstream consequences of that?
So I think my mission is to tackle a big lie. And that is that smart people will translate their book smarts into people smarts. But actually, no matter how smart you are, if you do not know how to communicate with people, you can't connect with people, you can't have good relationships, you can't have supportive friendships, you get looped into difficult people or toxic people, you have trouble getting raises or promotions. When you are able to control your communication, it helps you not be overlooked, not be misunderstood, and that affects your friendships, your partner, your career, and it also helps you feel more confident walking into a room.
And what is your research based on? Are you a researcher? Have you done sort of first party research yourself? Where were you drawing from?
So I'm a recovering awkward person. So I used to believe that you were either born with charisma or you weren't, that charisma was genetic. And in 2002, I discovered a study that changed my life, which said that charisma can be learned. This is when I started to figure out, okay, if charisma can be learned, how do we learn it? How can we learn blueprints for conversation? How can we learn frameworks for how we connect and how we socialize? That's when I started doing my own research. So I'm a behavioral researcher and a best-selling author on communication, and I specialize in helping very brilliant, very smart, awkward folks not be overlooked.
And give me some sort of depth as to the amount of research and the quantity of research that you've done, how many people you've studied, how many hours of footage, etc.
Yep. So I developed my first framework about 12 years ago, and we've helped 400,000 students learn that framework, master it, and conquer awkwardness or feel more confident. Some of those folks had very professional goals like getting raised or promotion. Other folks were so socially anxious and so awkward they couldn't make friends. Other people were looking for their soulmate or their partner. And so 400,000 students have told me that this framework works.
Nobody teaches us this stuff, do they?
Or actually, extroverts tend to teach it. So I read the quintessential How to Win Friends and Influence People back in the day. And that's a wonderful book, but it's a book written by an extrovert. If you are not naturally extroverted, I am not naturally extroverted, I'm more ambiverted. It is very hard to learn how to communicate if you don't naturally gravitate towards people. I was like, there has to be a way to teach introverts and ambiverts to be able to feel confident without having to fake it till you make it, without having to pretend to be extroverted or outgoing to be taken seriously or to be charismatic.
What's an ambivert?
So, ambiverts get energy from the right people in the right places. So, for example, in this interview, I love one on one conversations. I feel myself. But if we were to go to a loud bar or a nightclub, I would completely shut down and want to be alone. Ambiverts can dial up extroversion to hit their goals. So if they know they have to be friendly and meet people for an interview or a position, they can do it. But they need lots of recharge time. The reason why it's important to know if you're an ambivert is because you should know what are the people and places that drain you. There are certain people, when you open your calendar and you look at it and you're like, oh, I have to be with that person. That is someone that drains you. They do not bring out your extroversion or your natural love of people. There are also certain people who you feel you could talk to for hours. They give you social energy, they charge your social battery. So, the very first thing I have students do is sit and make a list. Who are the people who give you energy, who charge you up? Who are the people who take from you? Those are people that we want to put boundaries around, we want to say no to, we want to limit as much as possible. And then also the places. Where do you thrive? Is it conferences, one-on-one business, or is it friends, socializing, parties? Knowing those places helps you optimize your social battery.
And when you say cues, which you said at the start of this conversation, people think of just body language. Is that the sort of full extent of areas that you focus on?
Yes, so cues come into 4 different channels. There is body language, that's facial expressions, gestures, posture, but there's also vocal. So vocal cues are the tone of our voice, our pace, our volume, our cadence. There's also the words we use, obviously verbal cues. The types of words that I'm choosing to use are signaling my warmth and competence to you. And the smallest channel is our ornaments. The colors we wear, the jewelry we wear, the way we wear our hair, the way we wear your facial hair, those are also signaling different things or cueing people to feel a certain way about you.
And what about what we say?
Mhm.
Because I know you're writing a book about, I don't know if I can leak this,
You
but
can.
here we go.
Yeah, you can.
You're writing a book about conversation. So
Mhm.
what we say.
Mhm. So I did not realize how powerful our words are. And here's a study that really changed the way I think about this. Very simple study. They brought people into the lab and they split them up into 2 different groups. In one group, they said, today you're going to play the community game. And they played kind of a prisoner's dilemma type of game. The second group, they came into the same room, the same researchers, and they said, good morning. Today you're going to play the Wall Street game. The trick was the games were exactly the same. There was no difference between the 2 games. What they found was everyone who was told they were playing the Wall Street game shared an average of 1/3 of their profits. Everyone who was told they were playing the community game shared an average of 2/3 of their profits. This means that one word, community game, community, made people think and feel more about community. It made them act more collaboratively. This means that the words we're using in our emails, our subjects, our texts, our LinkedIn profile headlines are cueing people for how they should treat us. One really simple way to think about this is your calendar. I send out calendar invites multiple times a week to clients, to friends. When we have meeting, one-on-one, call, video, interview, I am being cued for nothing. Those words are so overused, they're sterile. If you add cues that prime people to feel or think a certain way, you're actually setting them up for success. So 2025 wins, collaborative session, strategy meeting, goal overview, teamwork collab session. Those words are actually cueing that person's brain every single time they open their calendar that when we read a word like collaborate, we are literally more likely to be collaborative. So the words that we use, even one single word can actually change the way people think.
It's funny because our entire lives are people.
Mhm.
Like the difference between me being a president, prime minister, superb salesperson, exceptional entrepreneur is probably just my understanding of other people and how I show up in my words and my cues. And so when you think about it like that, this could be, for many people, the most important subject for them to improve upon.
I would even go further and say, if you don't have people skills, you cannot succeed. You cannot succeed in life. You cannot succeed in love. You cannot succeed in business. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You need people to have success. So this is, I think, the most fundamental skill that people can invest in.
And how many people did you say you've taught people skills to?
400,000 students.
And is there a particular case study that stands out to you as being the most extreme in terms of case studying the fact that someone can go from 0 to
Mm.
a wonderful place.
Yes, and it's my very brilliant but stoic students. So I've noticed, especially over the last 10 years, because I've been doing this for about 17 years, in the last 10 years especially, my most extreme students are the students who are very, very smart, very talented, and good at what they do, but they don't know what cues to send, and so they completely shut down. They try to become stoic, unreadable. They try to have no facial expressions. They literally try to poker face all the time. And as they try to make connections, meet a partner, make friends, people don't like them. People don't trust them. They can't get buy into their ideas. And those are the students where I see the biggest transformation. They don't realize that muting your cues is a danger zone cue. If you try to be stoic and unreadable, people literally cannot get a read on you. And so my biggest transformations have happened when I can say, you don't need to hide your true feelings. It's about amplifying them with the right cues. There's a famous example of this, Jamie Siminoff, founder of Ring. So I don't know if you ever watched Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So in this episode, for those who haven't seen it, Jamie Siminoff entered the tank and he pitched a $1 billion idea. Literally $1 billion idea, because it went on to raise funding from Shaq and Richard Branson. But in the tank, he pitches the idea and he gets so much pushback and so much negotiation, and he walks out of the tank without a deal. In fact, the Sharks did not like him. What happened? He had the $1 billion idea, but he did not know how to share it. This is the biggest transformation I see, is people who have brilliant ideas. They're good people, they're hardworking people, and they cannot get buy-in. They cannot make friends, they cannot find partners.
How do they feel? So if you had to say words that make them feel seen right now, how are they feeling as they're listening to this?
Overwhelmed, getting into interaction, just social overthinking, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to feel, underestimated, like people don't see you or the real potential that you have, a lack of confidence, and fear. Afraid that if you are your true self or you try any of the things we're talking about, people won't like you. And I want to teach you that you can be yourself and you can be liked and you can find your people. And that doesn't mean everyone's gonna like you, but it means if you signal the right things, cues tell others how to treat you. If you signal the right cues, you will find your people.
One of the things that I was sort of inferring from what you said is the importance of understanding your resting bitch face. That's like the term we use in the UK, resting bitch face, which is like when you're just listening or doing nothing. Like, how does your face look?
Yes,
And you're telling me that's really, really important.
it's real. So I call it resting bothered face because
Okay,
I
I
have to be
probably
a
shouldn't use that
PhD.
word.
Resting
Yeah.
bothered face,
Okay.
RBF, same thing.
Okay.
Okay, this is a real phenomenon, which is that all of us have different faces at rest. Now, I want
Yeah.
you to look at my face for a second. My face at rest, I'm gonna rest it for a second. My mouth angles down in sort of an upside down U. So it looks like this. You see how these are going down?
Yeah.
Are you laughing at my U?
A little bit.
Okay. So at rest, I look a little sad.
Yeah.
That is just my mouth at rest. Yours goes pretty straight across.
I just,
You have a lot of hood. That's what
I
that's
have a
called.
lot of
A lot
hoods.
of hood.
Yes.
This is hood. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that probably makes you, do people think you're angry or tired?
Both.
Both. Okay. People never call me angry, they call me sad. You need to look in the mirror and figure out what is the default of your face. If your mouth angles down into a frown, people are going to think you're sad. You're going to have to be counteracting that with your cues. If you have a lot of hood above your eyes, or you have these two vertical lines that appear between your eyebrows, you actually don't have them, but if some people at rest even have those two lines, people are going to think you're angry or frustrated. If you have down eyes, so I don't know if you noticed, but I've added cat makeup to my eye.
Ah, yes.
Yes, that actually makes me look less sad, because also my eyes slope a little bit down at the end, which makes me look sad.
Okay.
So people often are like, are you okay? Are you tired?
Mhm.
I'm like, no, that's just my face.
Mhm.
So I have ways that I counteract it. One, I get to use makeup, which is a great thing. But second, I know that I need to make my face a little bit more up, right? So when I am interacting with someone, when I'm on video, when I'm interview, I typically rest my face in an upward position. I've activated these muscles, so don't I look happier?
You do, but have you got to consciously tell yourself to do
Yes.
that, or do you just always remember?
No, I have to consciously tell myself to do that. Now, I only need to do that with people with a first impression
Yeah.
or when I'm trying to make a good impression. My team knows that I'm not sad, right?
Yeah.
Like my team, they see me all the time. They see me without makeup. They know that I'm not sad. They know that's just my face. So here's what's critical. One, you should know, what is your resting default? Are you looking sad, angry, or afraid? Oh, afraid I didn't do. So if you have, you actually have some. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're
I'm
joking.
so sorry. I'm so sorry. You have
I
these
just
lines.
had someone laugh in the
I'm
back.
so-
One of my team just laughed in the back.
So you have them just right here, these
Yeah.
light lines here. So when we're afraid, we go, we raise our eyebrows up and you can't see it because I have Botox on my forehead, but if you, yeah, there you go, that's free. No, open your eyes and go, that's afraid.
Okay.
So the more you have those lines and the whites of your eyes appear, like if you ever seen someone kind of walk around like a deer in the headlights,
Yeah.
they make you feel anxious. Like if I were to do my entire interview a little bit wide-eyed, you would not only feel anxious, but you wouldn't believe what I was saying. So you all should see if you have this default lines or if the whites of your eyes show. Look at your profile pictures. In your profile pictures, here are the 3 biggest mistakes people make. 1, they're showing fear eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are signaling accidentally anxiety. So try to make sure you're not showing the upper whites. Second mistake people do is they make a contempt microexpression. So that's a one-sided mouth raise. So just do a one-sided mouth raise for me. Doesn't it make you kind of feel like, better
Yeah,
than?
yeah,
Don't do
yeah.
it for too long.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you do it at home, there's a facial feedback hypothesis. When you make these faces, it actually triggers the emotion. Just like when you have the emotion, it triggers the face. There's a loop that happens.
Mhm.
So if people make the contempt expression, one-sided mouth raise,
Mhm.
not only do they look scornful, kind of disdained, they actually begin to feel better than and scornful. So do not do an asymmetrical smile in your profile picture. You are accidentally signaling negativity. The third biggest mistake you will make is
The fuck is
you
this,
do an
man?
inauthentic smile in their picture. The
Is
only
this like
true indicator of
quack
happiness
science
is
or
when these
something?
cheek muscles are activated. Anyone can fake smile. This is what mine looks like. But you've seen people do it, right?
Yeah, I do it.
Okay, yeah, and people know.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
rather
yeah,
you
yeah.
not.
No, because I just don't have a good smile.
What?
Look. Like, what am I
What
gonna
am I gonna say? No, it's horrible.
good smile?
What?
Look. Like, what am I
What
gonna
am I gonna say? No, it's horrible. Is
Do you know I don't
That's
have a good
not your real
So
smile.
I literally have to do this when I take photos. 'Cause that's my smile. I
But that's
can't do
not
the
a real
teeth
smile.
thing. I try to. What am I gonna do?
Well, you can smile without your teeth as long as it hits your upper cheek muscle. So just try this for me. Put your pen or your
Wait,
finger
let
in
me
between your
just
mouth
look
like
at
this,
this.
and smile as hard as you can go. Oh, that's better. That reaches all the way up into your eyes. Do you see?
Oh, that's not.
That looks so much better.
Okay.
If you can activate these muscles in your profile picture, you don't have to walk around like that. But if you can activate, not the fear, just here, just here.
Okay.
If you can activate these muscles in your profile picture, it shows authentic happiness, or don't smile at all. I hate the advice. Just smile more. Fake smiles do not work. Dr. Barbara Wild studied this. She took pictures of people thinking of something they were authentically happy about, took a picture of them smiling, then she told them to fake smile and took a picture of them. On the surface, you really couldn't tell the difference between the two smiles.
Wait.
They looked very similar. But she had participants take mood tests. Then look at the picture. Look at one picture or the other, group A, group B. People who saw the positive picture had an improved mood. They caught the happiness from what you
Oh,
do. People
shit.
are very talented and good at what they do, but they don't know what cues to send, and so they completely shut. You can activate these muscles in your profile picture. It shows authentic happiness, or don't smile at all. I hate the take mood tests. The two smiles. They looked very similar, but she had them. On the surface, you really couldn't tell. Took a picture of them smiling. Then she told them to fake smile and took a picture of them. On the surface, you really couldn't tell the difference between the two smiles. They looked very similar, but she had participants take mood tests. Then look at the picture. Look at one picture or the other, group A, group B. People who saw the positive picture had an improved mood. They caught the happiness from the photo. People who looked at the fake smile had no mood change. This means I would rather you have no smile at all or be neutral than fake smile. But if you can smile in your picture, it is so great for authentic happiness.
It sounds like it might be quite exhausting for some people because I think some people, although they're happy, they feel good, they're nice people, they do have that resting bothered face, I think you called it. And there's other people that I know that just kind of walk through life with this like resting smile.
Yeah.
Like we can all think of that person that's just like always happy.
Yeah.
And then there's these other people who are like objectively happy too, but they just have that resting bothered face. So it feels like life is going to be more exhausting for those people.
You know, I think it's about choosing your hard, right? It is hard, it is exhausting for me to show up to a meeting when I'm in a good mood and have someone be like, "Are you sad and tired? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine." I find that exhausting. Is it also a little exhausting to make sure that in my first impression, I'm being a little bit more up with my face, open eyes wide and open mouth? A little less exhausting than that. So I think you have to choose what are the cues you're going to purposefully add. There are 97 cues. I've narrowed it down to 97 that I think are the most important. You get to make your own recipe. You don't have to do all the cues. If smiling is not
Sorry, I
your
was
thing,
just watching.
smiling is not essential for being charismatic. When we talk about being charismatic, it's about being warm and competent.
Hmm.
And you have 97 cues to choose from to make that warmth and competence recipe. And so you don't have to be a bubbly extrovert to be charismatic. You can be a quiet, powerful introvert. You can be a compassionate, empathetic healer. Those look different. And so I think it's less exhausting to find your recipe and to use those cues a lot. Like there's certain cues in my book that I teach that I don't use. They just don't feel natural to me. But there are other cues where I'm like,
Has anyone ever done any really compelling studies on this idea of resting bitch face or resting bothered face, as you call it?
there is research on resting bothered face, and there are certain people who, when people see pictures of their face at rest, they assume a mood change. In other words, when there are certain people at rest where you look at them, they look neutral. But there are a certain percent of the population, when you look at them, they look angry, sad, or afraid. So it's real.
And
It's
there's
a real
some people you
phenomenon.
look at and they look happy and make you
Very
happy.
few people have happy resting face, though. You either look neutral or bothered.
So you said you were a recovering awkward person.
Yes.
Take me into what you were like.
Oh,
And
goodness.
what do you mean when you say awkward person?
I really wanted to go it alone. I was really overwhelmed by people and interactions. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know what to say. I felt like I missed a memo that everyone got on conversation. I always felt like I was saying the wrong things. I had all these awkward silences. And then what would happen is I would try to overcompensate by sharing a ridiculous story or talking too much or completely shutting down. And I kind of like wavered between completely shutting down and being overwhelmed and talking too much and saying too much and just verbal vomiting all over everyone. And so I shut down. And in college, especially, I just felt so left out. I just felt so lonely. And I don't know if anyone watching is feeling lonely. I thought it was all my fault. I was like, I missed the memo. I don't know how to have conversations. I don't even know how to have friends. That's what it felt like, that I desperately wanted to make connections, but I had no idea how to level up a new person to a friendship. I had no idea how that path happened. I had no idea how to have a conversation with someone, share something real, and then have a real interaction back. And so it was really lonely and overwhelming.
And what was the catalyst for you to go on this journey?
I was in college, and there was a group paper assigned. And you had like 5 people, and everyone had to do 5 pages. And I went to the professor and I said, I will write double the amount of pages if I can work by myself. And he was like, Vanessa, the point of the paper is not the paper, it's working with the people. And I was like, and I started to cry in his office. I was like, that student. I was like, I don't know how. And he was like, Vanessa, you're very good at science. You're very good at breaking things down. What if you studied for people like you study for chemistry? That was like an aha moment for me. He said, why don't you study good conversation? Why don't you study the popular kids? Why don't you look at what are they doing in conversation that's working? Study it like it's a science. Hence my brand was it's called Science of People. That's when I realized, okay, it didn't come naturally to me, but maybe there's research on actual things I can do with my body, things I can do, I can say verbally, questions that work that will help me learn this the other way, turning soft skills into hard skills. That's when I started creating my first conversational blueprints. That's when I started creating my conversation formula. And it started to work. I started to try out these kind of tiny experiments, and I actually started to feel like myself, make more friends. It was tools. I had to use tools to be able to connect because it just did not come naturally to me.
Was it fixed from day one?
No,
So it was a journey?
it was a real journey. Yeah.
'Cause I think that's important because often people think, read the book, get the tips and tricks, and you're changed and you're fixed. You talk about, I think, later in your life where you went to a dinner party and your husband was there with you and you went home and told him that you thought everyone was angry at you.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was
this journey?
probably maybe 4 or 5 years later.
Okay.
So I started mostly with conversation. That was sort of my first tool I needed, is questions I wanted to ask, first impressions, and how to close a conversation, very practically. I also realized about 5 years later, I married my college sweetheart, so I've been with my husband for a long time, and he said to me, you always think everyone's angry at you. I was like, isn't everyone angry at me? And I realized there are certain people who misinterpret neutral facial expressions as negative. I have this problem. So I will see a neutral expression on someone and assume they are angry or afraid or stressed or don't like me. And that was creating this really bad loop because when you think someone doesn't like you, you shut down and become more unlikable. There was a study I discovered right around this time This is done by Dr. Van Sloan. He wanted to know what makes popular kids popular. Very clever study. He studied thousands of high school students across a variety of high schools looking for patterns. Why is it that some kids across these grades and ages are really popular? He had all the kids ranked across all these schools. He had them looked at traits, and then he guessed what made the popular kids popular. Were they more athletic? Were they more attractive? Were they funnier? Were they smarter? What was it? Can you guess what it was?
They smile more.
Please don't say
I'm
just
this,
basing
Noah.
this on the kids that were popular in my school. They were funnier. They were self-deprecating to some degree.
Mhm.
They were good at. They were remotely good at some sports, maybe. They were funny, happy. I don't know. What is
Okay,
it?
so he found that the most popular kids across the one single variable that was held true across all the different students was the most popular kids had the longest list of people they liked. So when he asked, one of the questions of the survey was, who do you like? They had the longest lists. And when he looked at their day-to-day, they had micro moments of liking. They would go down the hallway and be like, hey, Chad. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Sarah. They liked so many people, and that in turn made them more likable. This showed me that being likable is in our
I
control.
think that's already a
Being
byproduct of
likable
being
means
popular.
you have to be first liker. If you set out to like more people, you become more likable. And that was a really big shift for me because for so long, I thought it was all about me. It's a very selfish way to be, right? I was like, I better be impressive, I better be funny. But actually, what makes us likable is just liking as many people as possible.
I was laughing as you're speaking because I was just playing out all the different sort of personas of people listening right now.
Yeah.
And I just had this one persona of the person sat at home who just like slumped over because they realized they hate everybody. Like when you said that, they were just like, fuck, I hate everybody.
Look, I get it. I get it. I get it. And I also think that if you hate everyone, if that's you, let me try to convince you for a second. It could be because you're asking the wrong questions.
Okay.
I think I fell into that camp. I don't need people. I don't like people. I was very much in that camp for the first couple of years. Why? Because I had terrible interactions and terrible conversations, and it was awkward. Of course, I didn't like people, but I was also asking the wrong questions and I was telling the wrong stories. I was trying to be impressive. The best way to be impressive, to be likable, is to help people impress you, is to make them feel so liked that they begin to like you back. It's aggressively liking. So that means that when you're with someone, you should be constantly giving them verbal and nonverbal assurances of how much you want to like them. Watch them change. Watch your relationships transform. So I make it a policy of aggressively liking people. So I have 3 magic phrases for likability. Can I teach them to you?
Please.
Okay, so I want you to use these as many times as you can. 3 magic phrases for likability. 1, I was just thinking of you. Okay, so here's how you use this authentically, right?
Okay.
You think of a lot of people in your life all the time.
Yeah.
If you are thinking of someone and you can text them, I was just thinking of you, how are you? I was just thinking of you, how'd that project go? I was just thinking of you, it has been a while since we talked. Or, and better, you see a movie, you see a documentary, you see a matcha latte, you see a mug, you see a ceramic candle, and you're like, oh, this made me think of you. So my text messages, my conversations are full of actual moments where I was triggered to think of that person, actually, that this thing made me think of you. Or I was just thinking of you, I wanted to ask you about. If you don't think of someone, they're not a person you need to have in your life.
Okay, so that's number 1.
That's number
I
1.
want to pause on number 1 because I've got some sort of questions to ask here.
Yes.
It sounds exhausting. It sounds like it's going to cost me a lot of time that I don't necessarily have. And this is just my surface level reaction was, oh God, another job. Like, do you know what I mean? I like, if I've got to set aside an hour to like text everyone I know and go, I'm just thinking of you, it's going to be exhausting. I've got like 6 friends and I've got my partner, and I've got my family and my team. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Then just them. And also, it doesn't take an hour when you're like, oh, stainless steel mug. This made me think of you, right? Like, you're only doing it when it's actually naturally occurring to you. I don't want you to sit at your desk and be like, I'm due for some I was just thinking of yous. No, this happens in the wild.
Okay.
You're watching a documentary, you're at a restaurant, you're on the bus, you're like, oh, that reminds me of this person, quick text. That is less work than missing an old friend and not knowing what to say. It is less work to see something in real life or have a thought of like, I wonder how Sarah is, and reaching out to them than, I miss Sarah, but I'm not gonna reach out to her. It's also less work when you see someone and you haven't seen them in a while, or they're a friend of a friend, or they're that casual coworker relationship. And you're like, what do I say? I think it's a lot of work to go up to that person and be like, how was your weekend? I think that's a lot of work. I think boring small talk is a lot of work. If you actually thought of them to say, you know, I know you love dolphins. I
Oh
saw
my
this
God, I
dolphin documentary on
forgot
Netflix. Have you seen it? I was just thinking of you. Made me think of you.
I got another concern.
Oh.
So if I start firing out these WhatsApp messages telling people when I'm thinking
Love
of
it,
them,
love
it's
it.
just gonna be opening up loads of conversations that I then have to deal with. Do you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like, hey, I was just thinking of you, and then they reply, they go, oh, how are you? And I go, I'm good, thanks. And then I go, how are you? They go, I'm good, thanks. And then, do you know what I mean? And
Well,
then they might ask me,
I don't believe in asking, how are you?
okay,
That's a whole other thing. This is a good test. If you are worried that they're going to start a conversation that's going to bore you and feel like work, they're not a close friend.
so don't text them.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's a very good test. If there's someone where you're like, oh, I don't really want to hear how they are,
Yeah.
text them.
Okay.
This is for the people who you want to level up with. There are 3 levels of intimacy. People who you kind of know, you know their personal, you know their general traits, where they work, where they live, what they do, that's it. You don't want to go any deeper with them. Level 2 people are people where they know your personal concerns. You know their goals, their motivations, their personality traits, their worries. Those are people who you want to invest in. And there's a last level, which is the most deep level, which is called self-narrative, which is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. If you categorize your relationships, another activity I love for my students to do is make those 3 levels on a piece of paper. Write down the 20 people you can think of, the top 20 people you spend the most time with, where they fall.
So we have acquaintances, we have
Acquaintances who just kind of know where you're from,
Yeah.
what do you do, the
peripheral
basics.
people.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, some of the people who you're close with you might not be deep with,
Yeah, true.
right? Level 2, personal concerns. Could they tell you what is your, Stephen, biggest goal right now?
Okay. And then the middle layer, I didn't understand.
That's the middle layer. That's the middle layer. So it's general traits, personal concerns, self-narrative.
What's self-narrative?
So this is what my next book is about. I'm doing research on it right now. Self-narrative is the story you tell yourself about yourself.
So is this a group of people?
It's the levels of intimacy you are with someone. So would your partner
Oh, okay.
know the story you tell yourself about yourself? I'll give you an example.
100% she would.
I think so. So I think that there are basically 3 main types of narratives, and you should know what these are for the closest people in your life. Maybe only 2 or 3, and you should also know what it is for yourself. The best one is a hero narrative. This is, I've worked really hard. I've had some challenges and mistakes, but I've overcome with hard work and smarts, and now I am where I am. Every version of their story, their career, their life, their relationships is that same narrative over and over again. Then there's what I think is called the healer narrative. Again, I'm doing research on this for my next book. The healer narrative, their story is all about helping others. They typically are in careers of service, of helping others, physical therapists, nurses, healthcare. Their story is, how can I be more helpful? They tend to have a problem, though, if you're in a relationship with a healer, is they always put other people's needs before themselves.
Do they have some kind of historic trauma?
They can. And a lot of the times they were put in a position of caretaking too early. Like they were told that you're of value if you can caretake. You're of value if you put your needs last. So they tend to be people pleasers. They tend to say yes to everything. You have to be careful if you work with a healer because they're great to work with. They help, but they say yes to too much. So healer is the middle one. The last one is victim narrative. Victim narrative, no matter what, personal, professional, love life, taxes, they have the same narrative. I experienced challenges and mistakes, and I didn't overcome. No matter how hard I work, no matter how smart I am, the world is against me. So a question I ask people to begin to uncover their self-narratives, do you feel lucky? Do you feel lucky?
I feel very lucky.
I also feel very lucky.
Yeah.
People who have a resounding yes to I feel lucky are more likely heroes or healers. People who say, I don't feel lucky, I feel very unlucky, are typically victims. Dr. Richard Wiseman did a study. He asked people to perceive their own luck. How lucky do you feel? Then he gave them a challenge. He gave them a newspaper. And he said, I want you to count the amount of images in this newspaper. They sat with the newspaper and they counted all the images, but there was a trick. There's always a trick in these studies. On the second page of the newspaper, in big print, it said, stop counting. There are 42 images in this newspaper. Almost all of the people who perceived themselves as lucky saw the ad, closed the paper, and gave it back. So there are 42 images. Almost none of the unlucky people did. The unlucky people missed the ad and kept counting, spent a lot of time, and made more mistakes. This means that if you think of yourself as lucky, you literally see more opportunities. If you think of yourself as unlucky, you miss them.
Is it possible to change how you see yourself?
I do believe in a growth mindset. So I do believe that if this is resonating with you and like you're like, uh-oh,
Mhm.
I feel unlucky, I might have this victim self-narrative. I do believe it's possible to change your perception of yourself. And that's starting with small moments of heroism. I think that changing your people skills, saying, I don't like people, and saying, I'm gonna find a way to like people. Saying, I'm bad at conversation, I'm gonna find a way to be good at conversation. To say, I'm an awkward person, no, I'm a recovering awkward person. If we can begin to take those tiny experiments and change them one by one, we begin to have small moments of heroism, and that's how we change our self narrative.
As an employer, I think about this a lot, these sort of verbal and non-verbal cues. And actually, I had an interview some time ago, and I think I came out of the interview, and I think objectively the person might have been qualified, but there was something about their energy or cues or something that signaled something else to me, that they were an unhappy person, or they were tired, or they didn't really want to be here, or something like that. Are there any studies that confirm that our hidden communication is driving our success in the working environment?
Yes. So this study blew my mind. It's 58,000 working hours over 11 different companies. So a huge amount of data. They wanted to know if low performers infect the people around them and if high performers infect the people around them. What they found was if you sit within 25 feet of a high performer, your own performance improves by 15%.
Mm.
Here's the kicker. If you sit within 25 feet of a low performer, your own performance decreases by 30%. This means that our negative emotions are more contagious. That if you're around people who are low performers, whatever that means to you, who have negative cues, who are feeling anxious or tired or low confident, you could catch those cues and that affects your own performance.
Mm.
This is why it is incredibly critical to invest in the 5 people who you spend the most time with. You want to make sure those 5 people are the cues you want to catch. Do you
Mhm.
like the cues they're sending? Do they give you the right motivation, feelings? Do they make you feel liked? Do they make you a better version of yourself? There's just one more chemical aspect of this which we have to do more research on. This was a very gross study, but it's one of my favorites. It's a little gross. You ready?
Mhm.
Okay. So they brought people into their lab. They split them up into 2 different groups. And they made the first group wear a sweatsuit where they catch your sweat and run on the treadmill. So they sweat a lot on the treadmill. The second group, they wore sweatsuits and they took them skydiving for the first time. Both groups sweat a lot. Treadmill sweat and skydiving sweat. They took these sweat samples and they had unsuspecting participants go into fMRI machines and scan their brains. Then they gave them both sweat samples to smell. These poor people didn't know what they were smelling. They went it. Everyone who smelled the skydiving sweat had an activation in their own amygdala, their own fear response triggered. So they sweat a lot on the treadmill. The second group, they wore sweatsuits and they took them skydiving for the first time. What they found was if you sit within 25 feet of a high performer, your own performance improves by 15%.
Mm.
Here's the kicker. If you sit within 25 feet of a low performer, your own performance decreases by 30%. This means that our negative emotions are more contagious. That if you're around people who are low performers, whatever that means to you, who have negative cues, who are feeling anxious or tired or low confident, you could catch those cues and that affects your own performance.
Mm.
This is why it is incredibly critical to invest in the 5 people who you spend the most time with. You want to make sure those 5 people are the cues you want to catch. Do you
Mhm.
like the cues they're sending? Do they give you the right motivation, feelings? Do they make you feel liked? Do they make you a better version of yourself? There's just one more chemical aspect of this which we have to do more research on. This was a very gross study, but it's one of my favorites. It's a little gross. You ready?
Mhm.
Okay. So they brought people into their lab. They split them up into 2 different groups. And they made the first group wear a sweatsuit where they catch your sweat and run on the treadmill. So they sweat a lot on the treadmill. The second group, they wore sweatsuits and they took them skydiving for the first time. Both groups sweat a lot. Treadmill sweat and skydiving sweat. They took these sweat samples and they had unsuspecting participants go into fMRI machines and scan their brains. Then they gave them both sweat samples to smell. Poor these poor people didn't know what they were smelling. They went it. Everyone who smelled the skydiving sweat had an activation in their own amygdala, their own fear response triggered. In other words, when they smelled fear sweat, they didn't know why, they began to feel afraid. Everyone who smelled the treadmill sweat had no change at all. This means that, yes, we can talk about facial expressions and body language and vocal cues and words, but there's also something chemically happening. Smelled fear sweat, they didn't. Everyone who MRI machines and scanned their brains, then they gave them both sweat samples to smell. Poor these poor people didn't know they were smelling. They went it. Everyone who smelled the skydiving sweat had an activation in their own amygdala, their own fear response triggered. In other words, when they smelled fear sweat, they didn't know why, they began to feel afraid. Everyone who smelled the treadmill sweat had no change at all. This means that, yes, we can talk about facial expressions and body language and vocal cues and words, but there's also something
In a game, how does the AI know when it sees you? Game devs commonly use ray casts. There are rays you use to probe the game world. You trace a line going from the AI to the player with a limited range. If the line touches an obstacle, the AI doesn't see the player. If the line touches the player, however, the AI sees them. Simple. Now, a single ray makes the AI look dumb. If the line even barely touches the angle of a wall, the AI is completely blind. We can fix this with a cheap trick, using more rays. Instead of throwing one, we cast many in a cone, one after the other. If any ray touches the player, the AI sees them. We use this technique in both 2D and 3D games, although in 3D we may first do a cheap aerial angle check for performance. You don't want to cast dozens of rays for nothing. In a game, how does the AI know when it sees you? Game devs commonly use ray casts. There are rays you use to probe the game world. You trace a line going from the AI to the player with a limited range. If
you have the ability to skydive without a parachute. But you can only do it one time, though.
Look! He's the guy who spent all his money on a foreign scheme!
Is he sleeping? Prank him, Tails.
Absolutely not. I will not prank him. That is very inappropriate and disrespectful.
Well, Dingle, you make a point.
Prank him, Knuckles.
You already know. I just love my dog!
You have the ability to skydive without a parachute. But you can only do it one time, though.
Look! He's the guy who spent all his money on a foreign scheme!
Is he sleeping? Prank him, Tails.
Absolutely not. I will not prank him. That is very inappropriate and disrespectful.
Well, Dingle, you make a good point.
Prank him, Knuckles.
You already know. I just love my dog!
You have the ability to skydive without a parachute. But you can only do it one time, though.
We had a lawyer leave recently. When we went our separate ways, he said to me, you probably know this and everybody here probably knew it before I did, but I don't think I'm built to be a personal injury lawyer. And I give him a lot of credit for having that self-evaluation, because here we are, we being the other lawyers at my firm, we're trying to destroy defense lawyers. We're trying to win cases. We're trying to set shit on fire. His motivation wasn't the same as ours. I think that you have to be extremely hungry to do this job. If I am 65, if I'm 70, and I can't do this in the same way with the same vigor that I am right now, I think you got to stop doing it. Or at least you have to represent only people that don't have cases that require that. When you're suing companies like Walmart and Amazon, these huge, gigantic corporations, if you are not willing to work late nights, get up early, work on weekends, and really give a shit, not because you think you have to, but just because you have this burning desire to do it, you're just not going to be good enough. We had a lawyer leave recently. When we went our separate ways.
The thing about young players is that some of you might have experienced this too. When you're young, or like just when you're improving in general, your improvements happen like super randomly. Like one day you just win 80% of your games and you're like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like I didn't, you don't know. Like one day you just get really good out of nowhere. You have a burst. Well, the problem when you play young kids is that happens like a lot and also super randomly. Just like playing a kid and, you know, they're like cooking you. And you're like, what? When did that happen? It's ridiculous. I can't believe it. I was just up a rook for a second. Oh my god. The thing about young players is that
Here's a beautiful example of a psychological solution deployed in Korea. Red traffic lights have a countdown delay. It's proven to reduce the accident rate in experiments. Why? Because road rage, impatience, and general irritation are massively reduced when you can actually see the time you have to wait. In China, not really understanding the principle behind this, they applied the same principle to green traffic lights. Which isn't a great idea. You're 200 yards away, you realize you've got 5 seconds to go, you floor it. The Koreans very assiduously did test both. The accident rate goes down when you apply this to red traffic lights. It goes up when you apply it to green traffic lights. The single best improvement in passenger satisfaction on the London Underground. They didn't add any extra trains nor change the frequency of the trains. They put dot matrix display boards on the platforms. Waiting 7 minutes for a train with a countdown clock is less frustrating and irritating than waiting 4 minutes, knuckle biting, going, when's this train going to damn well arrive?
NVIDIA finally sent me a 5090, and I have to tell you about the coolest thing I never expected out of this card. So I've already simped over the engineering that's gone into making this a 2-slot cooler. Just incredible tech advancements here, but that's resulted in something missing that I didn't think of until I saw the card in person. Because the GPU has its main board in the center and the rest of the stuff connected via ribbon cables, that means the PCB connected to the PCI Express fingers is smooth and featureless. The traces that you'd find on a 4090 are elsewhere on the card. And in case you're thinking, sure, but I'll never own a 5090. Well, we're giving away this PC with the 5090 over on our Streams on the Purple site. NVIDIA finally sent me a 5090, and I have to tell you about the coolest thing I never expected out of this card. So I've already simped over the engineering that's gone into making this a 2-slot cooler. Just incredible tech advancements here, but that's resulted in something missing.
The reason that I like C so much for learning to program in particular is because
I read El Camino, and I didn't notice the first time around, but I think maybe third or fourth time I read it, I was like, wait, there's no bitch in here. Yeah. You know, so I called Vince. I'm like, is there a reason there's no bitch in here? He's like, oh, I didn't even think about it. And then that was it. But then when we were shooting, there was a...
tell me, I don't want to spoilers, but where you put it is so great.
This is not really spoiling. If you haven't seen it, Jesse is making a salad, and he's standing in like a salad line, and it's a beautiful salad, and he looks at it, and it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing when I placed the tomato on top of the salad. It just came out. Like I said, I know this guy so well. It just came out. I didn't even mean for it to happen, and I just said, yeah, bitch.
About the perfect salad.
The perfect salad. I mean, it was a perfect placement of it, yeah, bitch. I read El Camino, and I didn't notice the first time around, but I think maybe third or fourth time I read it, I was like, wait, there's no bitch in here. Yeah. You know, so I called Vince. I'm like, is there a reason there's no bitch in here? He's like, oh, I didn't even think about it.
Did you know? Atoms never touch each other. And since we're made of atoms, we've never touched anything in our entire lives. So to answer your question, officer, no, I did not punch that kid.
This is that ice cold Michelle, fight for that white gold. Oh, sorry about that. Today's word is fickety fuck. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me.
Come on, guys, let's keep it going. Next up is Silver and, Chuck E. Cheese?
Ready when you are, boss.
This feels like a bad episode of South Park.
Ready to clap it up, lil bro? Pause.
Both participants may approach the DAP up distance.
this?
It created a telekinesis shockwave throughout the Earth. Great, he's an idiot too.
Did you know? Atoms never touch each other. And since we're made of atoms, we've never touched.
Oh, this is gonna be really bad. Yeah, the pizzas just go boom, fall off the board like magic. Oh, this is gonna be really bad. Yeah, the pizzas just go boom, fall off the board like magic. Oh, this is gonna be really bad.
The family of a North Carolina man who was killed when he was using Google Maps is suing Google along with some road developers and landowners. The lawsuit alleges that the man was driving using Google Maps on a dark and rainy night in an area he did not know. He's just following the directions that Google Maps gives him. And Google Maps told him to drive across a bridge, but the bridge wasn't there and the bridge hadn't been there. He then went off the road bridge into the water and he died. The family alleges that Google knew, keywords, Google knew that there was no bridge there because other people had reported to Google, hey, there's no bridge here any longer. You need to change your map. I am particularly interested to see how Google defends this lawsuit, particularly not if they blame the man, because they will, how they blame the man. My guess is they're going to say that he was driving too fast for conditions, not keeping a proper lookout, and that it was his fault that he ran off the road that wasn't there any longer. The family of a North Carolina man who was killed when he was using Google Maps is...
The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 + 2, we'd all write 4.
Fish.
Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow, because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Kinda? Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. Alright, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and?
I said, a cemetery.
Why in your right mind would you say cemetery?
For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out because 1, they have free entry, and 2, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine. If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only 2 options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it.
Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it. It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo.
Zoo.
Zoo. Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4.
Fish.
Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Kinda. Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and?
I said, a cemetery?
Why in your right mind would you say cemetery?
For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out, because 1, they have free entry, and 2, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine. If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only 2 options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it. Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it.
It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo.
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 Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4.
Fish.
Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Kinda. Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and?
I said, a cemetery?
Why in your right mind would you say cemetery?
For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out, because 1, they have free entry, and 2, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine. If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only 2 options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it. Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it.
It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo.
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 Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4.
Fish.
Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand? Yes.
Yeah.
Kinda? Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and?
I said, a cemetery?
Why in your right mind would you say cemetery?
For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out, because one, they have free entry, and two, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine. If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only two options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it.
Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it. It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo. Zoo.
Zoo.
Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4. Fish. Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Kinda? Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and?
I said, a cemetery?
Why in your right mind would you say cemetery?
For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out, because one, they have free entry, and two, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine. If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only two options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it.
Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it. It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo. Zoo.
Zoo.
Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4. Fish. Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Kinda? Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and? I said, a cemetery? Why in your right mind would you say cemetery? For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out, because one, they have free entry, and two, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine.
If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only two options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it. Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it.
It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo. Zoo.
Zoo.
Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4.
Fish.
Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Kinda. Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo, grab the next card. Okay. Where would you go on a first date? I wrote coffee shop. Movie theater.
I got the best one easily. Arcade.
You just picked that one because you like to show off.
Okay, and? I said, a cemetery? Why in your right mind would you say cemetery? For your information, cemeteries are beautiful. Have you ever seen the landscaping?
No, because I don't regularly visit cemeteries.
Well, you're missing out, because one, they have free entry, and two, tombstones are great conversation starters.
You are sick, bro.
Let's move on.
Fine.
If you had a time machine, would you visit the past or the future?
Great. Only two options. I say future because I'm scared of changing the past. And I pick past because I want to see if our history books are accurate.
Oh, past, 100%. Especially if I can change it. Neither, because a time machine would be the most dangerous weapon on Earth and I would destroy it.
It all comes down to this. If we all get the same answer, we all win. Even Jaden, somehow. Name a word beginning with Z. I'll start. Zoo. Zoo.
Zoo.
Come on. Zoo. Pharmacognosy. What the f? The goal of the game is easy. As long as the majority of us share the same answer, we get points. For example, if the prompt were 2 plus 2, we'd all write 4.
Fish.
Okay, since most of us said 4, we get a token, and Jaden, since you said fish, you would get a pink cow because you're the odd one out. Everyone understand?
Yes. Yeah.
Kinda. Let's start with an easy one. Name a food with a hole in it. All right, everyone write it down. I'll go first. I wrote donut. I also wrote donut.
Oh no, I feel dumb. I wrote bagel.
Oh, I mean, that's basically like a savory donut. And that's the fun of the game. We all think differently. Okay, Jaden, what did you write?
I wrote corn dog.
What?
Well, if you think about it, you need to have a hole in the hot dog in order to make the corn dog.
You know the point of the game is to get the same answer as everyone else, right?
I know.
Hugo,
Sorry,
grab the
so
next card. Okay.
I kind of decided I'm gonna take
where
this
would you
low.
go on a
Just one
first
set
date?
for now. I'm just gonna end the stream
I wrote
prematurely.
coffee shop. Movie theater.
Sorry,
I
guys.
got the best one easily.
In Saturday, I will
You
be
just picked
doing
that one
2
'cause you like to
sets,
show
and
off.
then
Okay,
next week I'll do 3 sets.
I said
And then
a cemetery.
next week
Why in
Saturday,
your right
I'll be
mind would you
doing
say cemetery?
15
for your
of
information,
those
cemeteries are
curl
beautiful. Have
thingies.
you ever seen the landscaping?
I guess I'm just gonna
because I
take
don't
this low.
regularly visit
I think
cemeteries.
that's
Well,
better
you're
that-
missing out
it's
because
better
one,
that
they
way,
have
you know.
free entry, and two, tombstones are great conversation
Anyways,
starters.
I've been
Sick, bro. Let's move on. Fine.
doom
If
scrolling
you had a
anyways.
time machine, would you visit the
It's not
past?
productive anyways.
Great.
Gotta
Only
go
two
now.
options. I
See ya.
say future because I'm
See you
scared
tomorrow.
of changing.